Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Side Sportscast, where it's your boys Will and Woody with our main man Rain from the Dual Podcast, so you may remember, and we all come to break it down from the court side, the ring side, the sidelines, and for those sports they play outdoors, we outside, we side to side. That's how we ride. And today we riding with a courtside NBA Finals special where we got our man Rain, who's representing G Golden State Warriors to the fullest. I was about to say G Dub Nation, but I got a little tongue tied. But he's repping the Warriors. They're in the NBA Finals, and we got the Golden State Warriors versus the Boston Celtics. Hey, brothers, it's been a crazy playoff run for both teams. Let's talk about the road that got both teams to where they are right now. And let's actually start off with Golden State, since they've been in the wings waiting for Game 7 to take place, where the Boston Celtics obviously took out the Miami Heat. But it's been a magical run. Klay Thompson is back. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. He's back. I think it was 34 months he was out. And now he's back in the NBA Finals once again. And man, what a run. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, man. I think so in the first round we had Denver, obviously, reigning MVP, Jokic, right? I will admit they weren't healthy. They didn't have Jamal Murray. They didn't have Michael Porter Jr., but we all know that injuries are a part of the playoffs, right? So no excuses. But the question was in that series is, how are the Warriors going to defend Jokic, right? And the answer was, we are going to play him one-on-one, and we're going to play small ball, because Jokic can drop 40, 20, and 10, but as long as Aaron Gordon, right, Will Barton, and everyone else doesn't beat us, then that's the recipe for success. And if y'all go to episode 18, I did predict the Warriors in 5. All of my predictions so far have been correct. So go to episode 18 on the duel and replay that, because, I've been accurate on all of them so far. But Denver, I know they ended it in 5, but it was a tough matchup, right? Aaron Gordon finally started playing big, I think, in game 4 and game 5, and gave us some trouble. But overall, the small ball lineup was, I guess, I don't know what y'all want to call it, but the new death lineup, right? Whatever they're calling it. It was the birth of that lineup, and they kind of took over the series. But what did y'all think about Denver and Warriors in that series?
I agree. The small ball lineup really took the Nuggets out of it. And even though Nikola Jokic was the MVP, this is about maybe the third playoff series in a row that proves that if you get him running up and down the floor and he can't defend the pick and roll, he becomes a liability. It frustrates him, and it really takes Denver out of their game. And you got to give it to the Golden State Warriors. They know how to identify a mismatch and utilize it. They let Jokic do his thing. He got his points, he got his boards, he got his assists. Hey, they got lucky and they won a game. But again, they ran them up and down the court. They did what they needed to do to win that series.
It was good to see. I know we were unsure about Steph's, status, right? How many games is he going to play? When he does play, is he going to be on some sort of restriction, right? Like Klay was. But he came back, didn't miss a beat. It was all good, So that was actually it was what was that, game 3, where I made the realization that this team might actually win it all, because going into the playoffs, I had hitched my playoff prediction wagon to the Grizzlies. I actually had the Grizzlies and the Warriors, that second round matchup being a slobber knocker, right? But in the first round, I realized some things about both teams, including the health of Steph Curry, the drive. Like these men, I won't even say these boys, these men weren't playing around. So the Nuggets series, that was easy peasy.
Yeah. Now let's talk about that next round. After they got the Nuggets out the way, it's time to take on those Memphis Grizzlies. Now, I picked the Grizzlies to win that series, and I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. Golden State won it fair and square. Yes, John Morant got hurt, but even if he did not get hurt, I just believe that Golden State, the veteran experience showed to be too much, in my opinion. They're too veteran. They won. They didn't look too good in a couple of those games,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, they bounced back
Right.
because they do have that championship DNA. And I really think that was the secret sauce to beating the Memphis Grizzlies. What do you say, Rain?
Yeah, man. For all those out there, I had Warriors in 6 against Memphis. But yeah, to your point, the going into the series, the thing was that Memphis was younger, they're more athletic, they are on the boards, and they could play defense, right? And the surprising stat for me was that the Warriors actually out rebounded Memphis in that series. And yeah, there was a couple games where honestly, I don't think Steph or Clay or Draymond had a good game in that series until probably was it game 3 or game 4? I think it was game 3 when we blew them out at home. First two games could have gone either way, and it really could have gone up 2-0. We could have gone 2-0 heading back home. But for that series, you're right. Will the championship DNA, right? I felt like the team was always composed throughout the whole, even when they got blown out by 50, 40 in game 5, whatever that was. But it just goes to show that, the experience, right? That we've been there, we've done that. And I really wanted this series because the young Memphis Grizzlies like to run their mouth, and I love it. I love it. They wanted it, right? They wanted all the smoke, whoop that trick, all the things that were being said on Twitter and this and that and the third, and they're going home. They're going home. So I was happy. I was happy that it ended it. The Warriors ended it in 6, and I wish Ja was healthy for the entire series. But even when he was, we were up 2-1, and we blew him out in game 3. So I agree with you. I still think if he played, we would have still won the series.
I feel like Ja Morant. All the season we have seen the ascension. This playoff was no different. And he played his heart out in that game. I mean, you can make the argument that, and I might be skipping ahead a little bit by saying this, that every single series thus far, the Warriors have done a great job of, letting the star, get their stats, but the guys around them, keeping them at bay. So, when John Moran is scoring 40 plus, that still, comes with an L. So that series, it was intense. I was expecting, after seeing the first round, I was seeing it, just the youth of Memphis. I don't think they were ready, but you best believe, this could be a matchup for years to come.
Yeah.
I don't think Ja's going anywhere, and it's up to the Warriors to prove that they're not going anywhere either. So, what a series. It's unfortunate with the injury. I can't believe people were trying to say that was intentional. It doesn't even make sense. Like, if you look at the clip, like, how does that I don't even know. That's like a cartoon injury. Like, like that doesn't even. Yeah. So, but yeah, what a series. What a dub.
Hey, the Grizzlies won 21 out of 27 games without Ja. And they won a playoff game without Ja in that series. So I really don't think we can. We want everybody to be healthy, but that's part of basketball. When you get to the playoffs, you got to be healthy. The healthiest team is going to get to the finals. That's the name of the game, and it's just unfortunate. But the Warriors' chances were still looking good. Like you said, Rain, they wanted the smoke, and they got smoked. And then that sent you guys over to the next round against the boy wonder himself, Luka the Don, and the Mavericks, who, as a homer, I don't really think the Mavericks should have been in that series. Well, I mean, they deserve it. They got there. They got there. I'm still salty. I'm not going to be unsalty until maybe around April, May next year to see what happens. But listen, Warriors, Mavs. My thoughts on the series: the Mavs live by the 3, they die by the 3.
Yep.
If they're hitting it, it's going to be hard to beat them. But even if they make 23s, sometimes they miss more than 20. And teams do a good job of getting those rebounds and putting consistent points on the board. The Mavericks, when they lost that game 2 and they had that big lead, they lost the series. In game 2, when they lost that big lead, they lost this. They just kept shooting threes. They just would not stop shooting the three. It was not really it wasn't good for them. And like I said, Golden State is the most veteran team in the whole playoffs. You can't make mistakes if you're going to beat them. And Dallas made a lot of mistakes. Golden State won the game, won the series.
Yeah, and going to game 2, I agree with you. I think that was a turning point because that was the best game that Dallas played, but then them losing that while playing at their best, right? I think that's what. Yeah, that. I mean, before the series started, I'm gonna say it again. I had the Warriors in 5, and the reason why is because it's simple math. The Warriors haven't lost at home yet, right, in the playoffs, and they've won one road game in every single series ever since Steve Kerr became the head coach. So you do the simple math. Warriors in 5, right? And I knew for Dallas, they live and die by the 3. Don't get me wrong, Luka is a generational talent. I would have loved to see the Suns, though. I'm not gonna lie, but man, Luka's a dog. I mean, he did everything that he could, but again, like James said, right? The Warriors are like, hey, let the superstars get their numbers. Let Luka drop 40, 50, whatever he wants, but don't let Maxi Kleba beat you, right? Don't let Reggie Bullock beat you, and all of the others. And so that's what happened. And I think the inexperience of the Mavs kind of showed in that series too, and then also Jason Kidd's not making any adjustments, like you said. Well, they just kept shooting threes, right? Like blowing that big lead. I think it showed too in that series. So that's why I had them in 5.
I mean, I don't know if anybody was really, I mean, the Mavs, the Mavs. Here's the thing about the Mavs, in my opinion, my humble opinion. Luka Doncic might be the best offensive player in the world today. Like he is that good. He is incredible. Jason Kidd, I think he generally does well. Like he honestly, in my opinion, he outcoached Monty Williams the series before.
Yeah.
So I feel like they really, really, really like absolutely maximize that roster, because that roster is not good. Like it's not a great roster. It's literally not even good. It is Luka and some bums. I mean, we can try to hype up Jalen Brunson as much as we can and Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like that. You look up and down the teams that made the Western Conference, even the Eastern Conference, and they're not trying to hype up the Jalen Brunsons of the world. So kudos to them for making it. We knew this was about to be the SmackDown, and that's simply what it was. It was the SmackDown. I had fun watching it. And again, Luka, like they would always, I forgot what game it was, but the Warriors would, go up 11. Luka hits the 3 to go, bring it back down to 8, up to 12, back down to 9. Like, Luka, it was so fun to watch. But these Warriors, Game 6 Clay, we didn't see him that series. But I didn't talk about it the other time. So, what a series, a SmackDown. I think we all knew that was about to happen. And Luka, Mark Cuban, you guys got to get somebody. Gotta get somebody around him, because you would be creating another like Dirk situation, without getting him that team.
Yep.
I always say somebody's got to get Luka playing off ball sometimes. I mean, he's magic with the ball, but in the playoffs, you got to be diverse. You got to get him in situations, taking advantage of mismatches, catching the ball in the post. You just can't be step back 3 or draw the defense and kick it out for 3. It's going to burn out. But hey, we're not here to talk about the Mavs, right? We talk about the Golden State Warriors, and now they have punched their ticket into it's the 6th NBA Finals now.
Yeah.
Into this is a dynasty, unquestionably a dynasty. Team riddled by injuries, and they're back now. And on the other side, their opponent, representing Boston, are the Boston Celtics. Now let's just fast forward through there and let's just summarize.
Now, hold on. I am wearing a green shirt.
He's wearing the Celtics green.
Okay, I'm wearing a green shirt. I'm here to represent, all right, for my fellow Atlantic Division squad right here, because in the first round, Right, it was the Nets and the Celtics, and I said the winner of this series is most likely going to go to the finals. Now,
Ooh.
I said it was the Nets, right? Like I said, the Nets were going to be that team to do it in 7 games, and that all fell flat on its face. But the first part of what I said has rung true because these Boston Celtics are in the finals, and I think it actually would be disrespect. Matter of fact, it's bigger than disrespect. It is disrespect to just skip through this road because, in my opinion, the Celtics had the harder road to the finals. They had to scratch and claw to get here. All 3 teams that they faced to make it to the finals came into this year with championship or bust aspirations. So to make it here with these young guys, no true veteran, right? We talk about the Warriors and this veteran team, right? No true veteran, unless we're talking about Al Horford, which maybe in the locker room, he's out here.
Yeah.
So let's do it. All right.
Let's do it.
Round 1, they swept the Nets. KD, Kyrie had them send and the Nets were actually clicking to end the year. But that didn't matter against Boston's elite defense.
Hey, Boston 25-25 entering the year 2022. Mm-hmm. And then boom, just took off, locked in defensively. Jason Tatum began to play more, still aggressive, but he learned how to actually pass the ball, make the ball move around. Everybody bought in. Marcus Smart had some games where he may have 4 field goal attempts and 13 assists. Just Ime Udoka, which we'll talk about later, really got those guys buying in, and they swept the Brooklyn Nets. I picked Boston to win that series. I didn't foresee a sweep coming, but man, that clamp down defense, really the Nets couldn't do anything about it. The only entertainment that we got from that series was seeing Kyrie mock the fans during the game and then his little rant on, I think it was Twitch, after when he did the legendary voice on "I'm good. That was the funniest thing I heard all year. But you know what? We talking about stuff that's not on the court. Boston did their thing, and we can say that Boston doesn't have a true vet, but these guys, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum, have been playing together. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals together. Like, they are their own vets, but they're still young. So I think that's key. And they got through the Nets in the first series.
Yeah, man. And just to wrap up on it, I didn't think they were going to sweep the Nets either. I mean, I had them winning the series. I thought it was going to be tougher than that. But I think after game 2 or game 3, when they just started just locking down KD, they started locking down KD and Kyrie, and then that's it. Like, there's no other offense for the Nets. The Nets do not play as a team. Boston plays as a team. They're all on the string on defense. They play as one unit, right? They bought in, and you can just tell the difference between, a team versus just 2 guys trying to lift their team to one win in the playoffs, right? And I think that was the difference. And just to see Jason Tatum take the challenge of defending KD too in that series, told me like, hey, he's all in. Right, he's ready to do whatever it takes. Not only has he improved in his passing and his offense, but also defensively, just taking that challenge. So, I was impressed.
I'm gonna have a special shout out to CJ, all right, resident Celtics fan here at Side Sports, who wanted to trade Jason Tatum for a bag of chips. Was literally praying that Tatum was off his team, but I think we all can agree here that he has evolved, right, on both sides of the floor. And, they brought that right into that next series against the Bucks, where I felt like it was 2 teams, right? And then in Giannis, we're looking at one of the best 2-way players in all of basketball. So that was a challenge in and of itself. And, I mean, I feel like the difference maker there, which was one of the reasons why I felt so good about both the Nets and Celtics, was that 3 ball. These Celtics, they can light it up, and in that series clinching win, your boy Grant Williams just exploding out the blue. Like when you have, Grant Williams is on your team that could just, launch up 7 threes and go, like 7 for 9, 7 for 10, in that ballpark. And then you still have stars, right, that are stretching the floor and actually being selfless with the ball. I mean, the Bucks just didn't have an answer. They just didn't have the shooting, especially without Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That Middleton, he's a good 3-point shooter, but without him, they just could not keep up with the Celtics shooting.
Milwaukee definitely missed Chris Middleton, but like we said, it's the playoffs. Injuries can happen when you get to these series, and Giannis was looking like King Kong sometimes in this series, but can't do it all. You can't do it all yourself. And if you trade in 2 for 3, you even had Al Horford had the big game.
Yeah.
Al Horford haven't had a game that big since Florida, since the University of Florida when they was running on a championship. But again, that just proves that that was probably in all the playoffs probably my favorite series because it went back and forth. It was literally a back and forth series. The games were not boring. The games were very entertaining. They came down to the end, but you got to see the Celtics. They're not young. They're not young by experience, maybe by age, but not by experience. And they were able to make the plays necessary to come through and defeat the defending champions, the Milwaukee Bucks. I had the Bucks winning. That's when the Celtics surprised me. That is when they surprised me for sure.
Yeah, so just like you said, James, for the previous series, my prediction for this series was whoever wins between the Bucks and the Celtics is going to go to the finals. But I had the Bucks winning. The series against the Celtics. And I just want to take a moment, shout out to Don, because Don had the Celtics all the way going to the finals ever since the beginning of the playoffs. So yeah, I have to throw that in there. So he had the Celtics, but yeah, I agree with you. Well, this series out of all the playoff series was the one that I wanted to watch every single game because I didn't know what was going to happen. Right, every game was different. It was close. Some games were a defensive battle. Some games was an offensive battle. Both coaches, right, putting in the right people. Like you said, like Grant Williams out of nowhere would have a big game, right? Brooke Lopez out of nowhere would have a good game, right? So, yeah, it was a great series to watch, and I wish it was the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm just gonna say that.
Oh man, I wish so too. And let's talk about the Eastern Conference Finals. It just happened. We got another 7 games. Boston and Miami. And honestly, I'm just being honest. It's just my opinion. Eastern Conference Finals was boring. It was just boring. It was just like it just was not entertaining basketball. Yeah, Jimmy Butler had some big games, and even that game 7 was actually a little entertaining. A lot of controversy. I mean, Max Strus, did he step out of bounds? I don't know. They decided 5 minutes later to take the points off the board. Like, what are you doing? I've never seen that before. But you never know how that could have impacted the momentum. Does Jimmy take that shot if those 3 points are on the board?
What a bad shot.
He takes it was a horrible shot. But I like how Jimmy said my teammates like the fact that I went for it, so I'm living with it. Hey, he did. He went for it. He went for the win. He said, you know what? Let's not try to send us in overtime. Let's go for the win. It's a gamble, but hey, that's what happens if you gamble and it don't come through. You got to live with it. And they're home now. But Boston was the better team in almost every game, even the games that they lost. I don't want to undermine a win by Miami because a win is a win, regardless of how you get it. And this is the first series where I've seen them talk about quarter for quarter, who's winning the most of the quarters. But listen, Boston has been playing some great basketball throughout these playoffs. And Miami, Bam Adebayo is inconsistent. I'm really disappointed in him. Yeah. He is not the star that I expected him to blossom into in these playoffs. But he's still a good player. It's just not the star that you expected. Tyler Hero, disappearing acts even before the growing. The moment's too big for him. Talked all that stuff in the offseason, come to the postseason, and it's just like, where are you, man? And hey, Boston wins that series, and I actually picked them to win the series. And those who have been following the Side Sportscast, I specifically said they're going to split home both times. Then Boston's going to win on the road. Then Miami's going to win on the road. Then Game 7 is going to come down to, like, I said, late game heroics by Jason Tatum, which he did hit a big shot towards the end, but it wasn't like the game clinching shot. It was a big shot, but yeah, I had Boston winning that series.
Yeah, same. You know, kind of to Rain's point, my point, you know, like I think, you know, the Celtics were just destined. The Heat, you know, I like the Heat, you know, they're a good defensive team, but I really don't think like any of them, literally any of them, am I counting on every game for offensive firepower. And that actually includes Jimmy Butler. That might sound, you know, sacrilegious to some people, right? Because of the hype that he was getting, especially after I want to say game 1. You know, people were saying, you know, put some respect on Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy is a phenomenal talent, two-way player, but I'm not trying. I don't want, you know, Jimmy, you know, entering a shootout on my behalf. I don't, you know. So, you know, it's not just Bam, it's not just Tyler. You know, Lowry. You know, what was Kyle Lowry was looking like Mike Lowry, like the whole team.
Mike Lowry at least be shooting. Kyle, I don't know what he was doing. Well, maybe you're right, because Mike Lowry be doing a whole bunch of shooting and a whole bunch of missing. So maybe you're right.
Like it's just, you know, the whole team is just not there offensively. Like they need an offensive weapon, and it would have been nice if like Oladipo, who used to actually be, you know, an offensive star, you know, at some point, you know, if he, you know, was able to give them something off the bench or something. Like so many times we see people, you know, rejuvenate themselves on a team, you know, that used to be a star, kind of fell out of favor, maybe injury, but now is finding, you know, footing on a new team. Kind of sounds like Andrew Wiggins. But anyway, that's what we were hoping for in Miami. You know, nothing happened. So the Celtics just, you know, just ran through them. Now, what happened though, right? Because it wasn't really a run through, right? It was 7 games. Is that I did feel like we saw some inexperience, especially with Marcus Smart out. When he was out, you know, the turnovers. I mean, there was a sequence where Jason Tatum literally had 4 turnovers in a row. Like I felt like, you know, they are experienced, but I don't know if it was nerves, jitters, whatever it was. At times we saw the Celtics just get pushed so far out their game. And honestly, if we're looking at the other side of the coin, we haven't even really seen that with the Warriors. You know, game 5 of the
Grizzlies.
Yeah, Grizzlies series, right? Everyone's going to point to that. But, I mean, all right, if you want to take that one game, sure. There was no other time where the Warriors just seemed like at a loss, like that, you know, there was no hand that could right the ship. But for the Celtics, there were times in almost every single game of this Heat series where it did look like that. And, you know, Ime had to call a timeout or somebody had, I don't even know what he was doing, but, you know, maybe they got Larry Bird's secret stuff, something like that to get these boys working back together. But, yeah, the Celtics are in it.
Yeah, and then just to wrap up for this Eastern Conference Finals, I mean, the first few games, I was just like, all right, they're just gonna take turns blowing each other out. Like both teams are not showing up at the same game. It's like, hey, you know, like Boston's gonna take game 1 off, and then they're gonna turn it up in game 2, and then they were kind of going back and forth for the first 4 games, and then all of a sudden, you know, it started to at least somewhat be close, right? Not 20-point blowouts, but yeah, I agree with you, Will. I mean, the whole Eastern Conference Finals, man, to be honest, I barely like when I just look at the score and I'm like, if it's a 20-point lead, like I don't know if I want to tune in. Also the reason is because the style of play, right? These are both really great defensive teams, so it's a slog, right? It's a grind. Like these are the type of games, but these are the type of games you have to win in the playoffs. But I just don't want to see 7 games of that, right? Like I'm good with seeing 1 game, but not the entire series. Where people are struggling to put the ball in the hoop. So, but yeah, I mean, I had the Celtics too. No disrespect to Miami. I know that they're the number 1 seed for a reason. Jimmy Butler, like you said, James, I'm not going to rely on him in the shootout. And this man just looked exhausted. And I was like, there's no way he can score another 40 plus in game 7 to try to like bring them over the top, because I wasn't confident in anybody else on the Heat, like going there with him.
As a Warriors fan, were you like kind of crossing your fingers if that three did go in, like to face the Heat in the finals?
No, I'm actually, to be honest, I was fine with whoever would come out. I just wanted it to go to 7. Just go ahead, beat each other up some more. But yeah, like for that shot, I mean, from my perspective, I was like, wow, what a bad shot. But then I understand why he took it, because that's what your superstars do, right? You ride or die with them, and so just like Will said earlier, you gamble, you got to live with the consequence. So
Jimmy played all 48 minutes that game, man. All 48 minutes, listen, he was out there, he was trying. And even though both of these teams are elite defensive teams, it just seemed like, and we're about to talk about coaching, but it just seemed like in this matchup, when the coaches made game-to-game adjustments, the coach that won tried to come back with the same thing, but the other coach had it figured out. Then it's a blowout. Then you got to go back to the drawing board. When usually that's not the case in the playoffs, and that's what made this kind of boring. But we are in for a treat now with these NBA finals. I think this is most likely the most exciting potential match that could have came.
Yeah.
You've got Steve Kerr. He's got his team there for the 6th time. Legacy. We're talking legacy with Hall of Famers, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. The Warriors did something that you don't ever see done. They got young while their core is aging, and this team is set up. But Boston and Ime Udoka, who in his very first year has gotten the Celtics over the hump, and not only over the hump, he got them out of that rut that they were in to start the year. He got them all the buy-in, and this team is hungry, and they're there now. Ime Udoka, very, in my opinion, defensive-oriented coach. You got to play defense night to night. That's his message, night to night. But underrated, Steve Kerr also emphasizes defense.
Yep.
He emphasizes defense, but Steve Kerr is a little bit better at the game-to-game adjustments than Eric Spoelstra. He's going to expose something, but he's going to not expose one thing. He's going to continuously find something to expose. So, I would love to hear from you, Rain. And what do you think as far as Steve Kerr versus Udoka? What are you expecting to see from the Dubs?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Will. I think Steve Kerr makes great game-to-game adjustments. And man, Dub Nation, man, Dubs Twitter, lay off Steve Kerr, man. Come on, man. Come on. You guys wanted him to get fired and all these things. Come on, man. Let's relax. Let's pump the brakes. But yeah, I think what the thing is that this is contrasting styles, right? We talked about the Warriors small ball lineup, right? I think Steve Kerr is going to see how well this team or the small ball lineup can play defensively. And I think Ime Udoka is going to counter with his big lineup, right? Grant Williams and Al Horford. And then we're gonna see like, okay, can the small ball lineup outscore this big man lineup, or can the big man lineup of Boston punish these small Warriors on defense? I think for me, that's the thing I'm gonna watch between the coaching and the styles of play of the two teams. And we're gonna talk about kind of the others in the next segment, but I think what would be important is that in the series so far, Steve Kerr he understands what the weaknesses are of the Warriors, right? Against Memphis, it was rebounding. Against Denver, we have no bigs to guard Jokic, right? For the Mavs, I don't really know about the Mavs. I don't know about the weaknesses against the Mavs, but in those two series, Steve Kerr was like, okay, we understand our weaknesses, and guess what? We're gonna make you beat us at something else, right? We're not gonna overreact. We're just gonna say, hey, these are the guys that we have. Steve Kerr plays everybody in the rotation. So he'll bring Kuminga out, he'll bring Moody. Bielitsa had some playing time, and supposedly all the guys are gonna come back healthy for the finals, hopefully. And I feel like Ime Udoka, he kind of shortened his rotation, right, in that Miami series, because he's like, hey, this is the guys that have been getting it done. This is who I trust, and this is who I'm going to ride with. So for me, is the shortened rotation going to be better than playing different types of combinations and variations of players, is that going to overwhelm Ime Udoka and the Celtics? Or is Ime going to be like, no, I'm just still going to ride with these same guys? Or is he actually going to deploy some different players off that bench? So those are just some things that, I'm thinking about in terms of coaching and the styles.
I mean, if we're playing darts, that's a triple bull, right? Right there. I mean, I feel like you just hit every nail on the head with the rotation and with the death lineups. I'll tell you right now, this death lineup, I'll take it all day. I mean, they can defend. They can defend. And like one thing that, I couldn't help but like grin from ear to ear is, looking at when Clay was, when he would switch onto Luka, because we all know Clay has not been around for quite some time.
Yep.
At his time, he was undoubtedly, one of the best two-way guards in the entire game.
Yep.
So does he still have it? Has he lost a step? And he proved to me, to the world, to everybody. I mean, I had no doubt, but he was playing great defense. He is there. So I think he will actually be, a big factor in this, small ball lineup. And, Steve Kerr, it's tough. It's kind of tough to grade him, right? Everyone wants to bring up Mark Jackson. I'm not going to bring up Mark Jackson. But what I'm going to bring up is that between Draymond and Steph, you have two of the highest IQ guys on the courts. So they are also helping making in-game adjustments on both sides of the floor. And you see it. You see it develop. You see the communication. And these guys are two leaders where everybody is following their lead. So they got like 3 or 4 head coaches out there.
Yeah.
Whereas, for the Celtics, I'm not sure if I'm going to call anybody out there. Marcus Smart obviously can run the plays and everything, but I don't think Tatum, is calling things out on defense and, really saying, all right, now we got to switch, to this or,
Right.
So for the coaches, I do think Udoka is a better coach, but I do think that the Warriors just have the better talent. Right, these styles. I think if they were to do small versus big, I mean the smalls, they've been doing this all day. I mean Wiggins got hops. We've seen his bunnies. We've seen it. All right, so I wouldn't be worried at all having him matched up at the 4 against Al Horford. Literally, Horford should be the one that's worried. So yeah. I mean two styles, and we're gonna see them collide.
You know what? I just want to stand up for my boy Steve Kerr for a second, man, because Steve Kerr gets disrespected. Now, look, I'm a big Mark Jackson guy, and Mark Jackson, he birthed those babies. He birthed those babies. He did. He taught them the NBA. He showed them the ropes. He made them work on defense. Like Steph was horrible at defense until Mark Jackson came. He actually built the championship DNA in their heart. But let's talk about some of the best NASCAR drivers of all time. I don't even know. Maybe it's debatable, but Dale Earnhardt, right? Somebody built the car. Somebody built the car that Dale was driving. Not anybody could have been the best all time driving that car. Steve Kerr drove this vehicle, and we are 6 championships in this run. You got to give Steve Kerr credit for that, everybody.
6 finals appearances, but yeah.
I'm sorry?
6 finals appearances. I mean, not 6 rings. They don't have 6 rings, but yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, 6 finals appearances.
Hopefully 6 champions.
That's what I meant to say. 6 finals appearances. We're 6 finals appearances into that run. And here's the best thing about it. There was an off year where you had Clay was out, Steph was out, Draymond was out. And what did Steve Kerr do? He proved that he could do what Mark Jackson did. Jordan Poole is a developed player now. He is a developed player. He slowly gets the young guys in, the Jonathan Kumingas. He slowly gets them in. He gets production out of who he needs to get production out of. He dusted off Andrew Wiggins. Yes, it may be a little bit easier for Andrew Wiggins to play alongside of like the Steph Currys of the world. But guess what? Clay was missing the majority of the beginning of the season, and Wiggins was playing at an all-star level. That is kudos to Steve Kerr. So I'm not going to disrespect Steve Kerr and say Ime Udoka is already better than him, because Ime essentially is doing the same thing. He's taking over a team that was ready to go. They were ready to go. And then I'm not undermining him, but I just think Steve got more tools to play with here in this matchup, and he's going to get fancy with it. How many different people is he going to throw at Jason Tatum? You know, Tatum, Jimmy Butler was guarding him. Tatum had like 20 every first half. Ended the game with less than 30 every game, you know, because Jimmy would go into halftime like, nah, man, he's not scoring no more, you know. Right. But that's it. But they moved the ball elsewhere. Nobody could really check Jaylen Brown. Well, guess what? You could put Wiggins on Tatum, you could put Clay on Tatum, or you could flip it. You know, one of them could guard Brown. You got more perimeter defense ability with Steve Kerr. So I think this is going to be a chess match. Experience versus, I'm not going to say Ime's inexperience because he's been around the game. He's been around the game. But this is his first time in the NBA Finals. And I'm betting you the coaching experience difference is going to show in this series. And that's just furthermore that I have to add to the coaching styles.
Well, yeah, we're gonna see some styles collide, and we're gonna need people to step up. The coaches are gonna have to step up. The stars are gonna have to step up. But everybody who's on the court is gonna have to step up. So when we talk about like X Factor type player or X Factor type guys that we're gonna see in this finals, I'm going to ride with this green shirt that I'm wearing and say that, Rain did a masterful job of pointing out how the Warriors are deep. Will literally just said how Steve Kerr gets production out of these guys. So with the Celtics and their second unit, which isn't really a second unit because, there's an 8-man rotation, we're going to need somebody like Peyton Pritchard to make the most of his minutes. Okay. I think the reason, or not even, I think the reason, I know the reason why I was picking the Celtics to make it this far is because they were the best blend of defense and offensive firepower to actually hang with whoever made it out of the West, which I was not confident in saying about the Bucks. I was not confident in saying about the Heat, any team besides the Nets, who didn't even win a game. So I look stupid. The Celtics have that firepower. So if Peyton Pritchard, who is a shooter, he can shoot from range, if he can make an impact in this series, that will go a long way into making sure that the Celtics avoid a sweep.
Oh,
man. Look, I just want to add, man, because when you said Peyton Pritchard, I just visualized. You got Peyton Pritchard in the game, and you got Steph Curry like, yeah, I hope he match up against me. So what does Steve Kerr do? We used to talk about coaching. I'm going to put Steph and Jordan Poole in because Peyton going to have to guard one of them. Mm-hmm. And this is in game one of those two guys will probably get 12 points in 2 game minutes, and you won't see Peyton Pritchard on the court much for the rest of the series, because it's going to be light up time unless he has to play. But you're absolutely correct, because even though I'm talking about how they can expose him, if he can avoid that and actually contribute, he would absolutely be the X factor and a big reason, something that Boston is going to need, because like Rain said, Ime shortened his rotation. It's not going to have a lot of depth. I mean, there's going to fatigue can play into it. And I just, I think my X factor for this game, I'm gonna stick with Golden State. I'm gonna say it's got to be Draymond Green, and here's why: he's been getting phased out, man. He's not an offensive threat, but he is their most versatile defender, and they're absolutely going to try to make the small ball thing work because Robert Williams isn't like an offensive low post. It's not like Joel Embiid. So you don't really have to worry about stopping him. Grant Williams is undersized. Draymond would love to guard him, but You could probably put Wiggins on Grant Williams. Grant Williams isn't trying to back you down in the post. He wants to shoot, right? So that gives Draymond time to beat up Jason Tatum. He's going to beat him up. It's going to be physical. He's going to get in here and hurt his body. And that's what I'm saying. Draymond's got to be Draymond. He's got to be like what Dennis Rodman used to be in this. It don't have to show up in the box score, but Draymond is my X factor player because he's got to get in those young guys' heads big time, make them want to fight, take them out their game. You know, we should see like an 8 for 26 game from Jason Tatum, and that would be because of Draymond. So Draymond Green is my X factor.
I like that. Obviously, I'm going to go with my X factor for Golden State, and I'm going to have to go with Jordan Poole. I think, James brought up Peyton Pritchard. I think once Poole comes in with that second unit, it's his time to shine. Right, go cook, because I don't think anybody in the second unit of Boston can. If Jordan Poole is playing the way that he should be playing, I think he could have a field day running that second unit when the starters are out, right, and then he could just take over a game. But he's inconsistent, but he's still young. But I think he'll be the X factor for the Warriors. Every time that he plays well, the Warriors usually win. So I'm looking for that kind of second unit bench matchup, and I think Jordan Poole is going to be vital to the Warriors winning the series.
Yeah, no, that's definitely where a huge difference will be made. I think, both teams' first lineups actually like match up pretty.
Yep.
I don't want to say evenly because you already know like the Splash Brothers can just start splashing, but all things considered equal over a series, right? It could be equal, but I mean they don't have anybody in Boston wearing green, white, blue, black. They don't have anybody that can, match Jordan Poole's production when he is playing at his highest. So,
and I just want to clarify because I know this segment is non-stars, and Draymond Green has a big name, but he has not played like a star this year. Like if I'm going to point out the stars based on what took place this year, I am not putting Draymond Green in that category. It's Steph, it's Clay, and it's Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole has been one of the stars on the team, and Andrew Wiggins. They're deep. But just to be correct, politically correct, if I had to pick another player, right, who is outside of the Hall of Fame realm of the conversation, another X factor, you want to talk about depth, and I think that this would be a good series. For him in particular. And I gotta go with Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is literally.
You just said he was a star. But no, keep going.
Right. No, Golden State is too deep. I mean, they're too deep. Like, I'm not gonna pick Jordan Poole again, right? But I gotta pick Andrew Wiggins. I really wanted to say Jonathan Kuminga, but I'm wondering if Steve Kerr is going to put him on a. All right, rookie, you're 19. You got to sit down here in the NBA Finals, because that's a real possibility. I'm sure he'll get some minutes, and you won't find a bigger Jonathan Kuminga fan than me. That is literally my guy. I've been talking about him all year. But Andrew Wiggins in this series, two-way player. I think he can make a name for himself, and I definitely think if he can just average 16, 17 a game and play some quality defense, it's going to be hard for Boston to keep up with the Golden State Warriors.
Well, he's going to be sliding in and filling that Harrison Barnes role, or Iggy, right? Who, if we're talking about Iggy, he is a man who is a Finals MVP. So looking ahead to this Finals. Everyone, obviously, we're going to look at Jason Tatum. We're going to look at Steph Curry. But is there a possibility for another dark horse Finals MVP? I'll let you guys take it away before I say my answer.
Man, I want to go last on this one.
I'll start. You go.
It will be me, then it'll be Will, then it'll be Rain. All right, here on the Dual Podcast / Side Sportscast. This joint episode. Let's do it. So my dark horse, and maybe it's not a dark horse, I don't know, but wouldn't it be something? Because mainstream media, they love the sappy stories and all that. We're talking about a man who has missed years of his career, okay, right in the prime, and he is a star. He has been undervalued for so long. He was omitted from the top 75, okay? People can't even agree if he's a snub or not, okay? He is back. He's feeling good, all right? He's moving around well. He's shooting. We've seen the game 6 version of legend, of lore. We've seen it this year. He is back this season. How magical would it be if Klay Thompson, who is a Splash brother, okay, not a Splash nephew, all right, not a Splash stepson, he is a brother, all right, of Steph Curry. Let's see him take his rightful place, lead his team back. The team couldn't even make the playoffs without him. Now he's back and they're in the finals. Dark horse, finals MVP, Klay Thompson. Holla at your boy.
Man, and I'm going to piggyback off of that because if you see what just happened here, right, we talking a potential 4th championship for Golden State. Who got the MVP the first time? Andre Iguodala. Who got the MVP the next 2 times? Kevin Durant. Who was arguably the most important player, in all 3 of those series, in all 3 of those championships? Steph Curry. But you almost don't expect him to win the finals MVP. If Golden State wins, you almost don't expect Steph to win it. But I do. Is it fair to call him a dark horse? Well, according to my narrative right now, I'm going to say yes. Steph Curry is my dark horse pick for MVP because he's so easy to overlook and he is so important. And I would literally cry real tears. I would post it on Instagram, picture of me, crybaby face, if the Warriors win the championship and somebody other than Steph wins MVP. Now, if Klay Thompson wins it, I would be really happy for Klay because, for every reason Woody just said, that would be a great story. But, man, all the talk about Steph's legacy afterwards, he's not top 10. 4 championships, no MVPs, blah, blah. I don't want to hear that, man. Steph is one of the greatest players of all time. And I think this is his time. And I think Steph's going to go win the MVP.
Man, I love the picks. I love Klay. Yeah, Klay, Steph. It's harder on me. I should have went first. All right. I think for dark horse, you know what? I'll go with the 3rd Hall of Famer to this, dynasty, Draymond Green. I think typically they give it to people that, the highest scorer, right? It's an offensive, MVP. But like you guys said, right? Iguodala did get it back in 2015. So I think if Draymond Green is able to lock down Tatum or Brown or whoever and puts up, 8 to 10 points a game and has a triple double and maybe 2 games out of the series, right? And it has that impact, then dark horse, right? Dark horse shot to win it, but I think Steph's going to win it. Steph's going to win it, y'all.
Okay. Hey, Draymond, that's a good pick, man, but Iguodala got it because I don't get it. I still don't get it. LeBron was averaging a sick triple double. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. But we're not going to talk about that.
Do we have a Celtics horse? Is there a Celtics horse?
What'd you say?
Celtics?
Yeah. Is there a Celtics horse?
Okay. Well, if we're going to talk about a Celtics dark horse MVP for this same argument, for me, it would have to be Marcus Smart. Because Marcus Smart is going to have to defend Steph Curry. He's going to have to. It's one of the hardest things to do. But if Marcus Smart can take Steph out of the series, you would have to put him in the MVP conversation for the same reason Iguodala was in the Finals MVP conversation. So my Celtics dark horse would have to be.
Yeah, I would totally agree. So Marcus Smart. That would be my dark horse as well.
Hey, Marcus Smart. Okay, if I had to choose one, I think I'm gonna have to go with Grant Williams. I think if Grant Williams can play solid defensively and he has a couple of good games on the offensive end, if he can shoot, I mean, he wasn't the sole reason why they beat the Bucks, but if he didn't have that game, who knows? That game 7. So I'll go with Grant Williams.
Yeah, that is the darkest of horses. He was with Bane in the darkest.
Technically, he likes Philly, but it is a dark horse pick, though.
Yeah.
Wow. So all right. So we already know who we think will be MVP, and I don't think it is going to be, or I don't think anybody in this episode thinks that it's going to be Grant Williams or Marcus Smart. I think we already know which team that we think is going to win. But let's just say it for everybody. All right, which team is going to win? How many games? All right. I told you the first round. I saw it in this team. Okay, just the veterans, the young bloods that they're, and Will says it every time now, how they were able to reload without losing the pieces. The Spurs actually kind of did this, in those battles with the Heat. They were, they had Kawhi and, had that nice, passing of the torch. So I think that's what's happening right now. They are about to beat the Celtics. I am going to give it 6 games. There it is. Warriors in 6.
Oh man, it's tough. It's tough. It is really tough because I do not want to disrespect the work that the Celtics have put in. I really think that their defense has done something. I don't think they have the veteran. I just don't think they got the tools that Golden State had. Like Golden State is here and they're going to take full advantage of coming back because they've dropped from the mountaintop and they've got it back together and they're here again. They're going to take full advantage of this to get their 4th championship. So I got Golden State winning the series. Now, how many games? That's the question. I honestly think Boston is going to put up a fight. I do. And I think it's going to come down to June 19th, p.m., Golden State winning Game 7 on their home floor for their 4th NBA championship in 6 seasons.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the seasons, aren't I? The 4th NBA championship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great series, right? For both sides. This is going to be a great series to watch. Boston is a tough team. The Warriors are a veteran team, right? So I think we're going to get a lot of good games. It's going to be a deep series, and I think I agree with you. Will, I think it's going to be Warriors in 7. Both teams can win on the road, right? Both teams are well coached. The adjustments. Now we just have to see, right? Who's going to shine, right? Who's going to execute? Who's going to come out on top, right? In that 4th quarter, I feel like both teams have proven in previous series that they play really well in the 4th quarter. So that's what I'm most excited about, to see who steps up when the lights are the brightest. But I think it's going to be Dubs in 7. I haven't been wrong yet so far. So
I was literally just about to say you have not been wrong yet. So I'm glad that your pick was my pick matched your pick because I got a higher percentage of being right now. And if I'm right and Woody's wrong, I'll be rubbing it in his face all over IG. You'll see the post. But hey, another great pick. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen,
Hey, there's a first time for everything. So this could be the first time. I don't know.
Oh, you talking about first time me being right? See? You froze right now. You froze because you're talking that garbage. You froze because you're talking that garbage, right? The internet, angels out there is like, pause. And shut it. So,
oh my God.
But listen, we're in for a treat, ladies and gentlemen. Thursday night, we got Golden State versus Boston Celtics. Get your popcorn ready to take a line from T.O. This is going to be a great NBA Finals. Let's hope for some good games. We all got the Golden State Warriors winning. We would love to know who you think are going to win. Come on the Sportscast and talk about it throughout the series. Call it how you see it. Call it how you saw it. Call out those who didn't see it how you saw it. Let us know what you're thinking about what's trending in the sports world today. And we want to thank our main man, Rain, once again, before we out. Thank you, everybody. The Dual Podcast. Please check out the Dual Podcast. Rain, make that plug.
Yes, sir. So we have the dualpodcast.com. Check us out on IG and also on Twitter at Dual Podcast. Appreciate y'all.
And this is actually also an episode of the Dual
Yes.
Podcast. So
Yes.
for everybody listening,
Yes.
thank you for letting Will and I just, waste all your time and, talk sports
Shout out
with
to
you.
the Dual Podcast followers. And,
All right.
we hope y'all ride side to side as well.
Yeah. Don will be back. All right. We didn't kidnap him or anything.
True,
We're just here having a good time. So, we out.